Yep. So I'm live on Facebook, where we wanted to be live today on my side.
Yep, I'm live on your YouTube.
Okay, so if you are on news channel and you are watching, we need you to do the thumbs up, okay? And if you are on Facebook, we need you to like. I think you just click like, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that how it works? And that helps. So I got Bonnie and Debbie have found me on Facebook, found us, so wonderful.
Fabulous. Hello, you guys on Facebook. Yes, I got my first person on live. Do say hello, so I know who you are. Yeah, we're going to have a good show tonight, so I'm really excited. I'm in a good place today.
See, I like Facebook because in addition to getting the thumbs up, I can get hearts.
You can get hearts.
I get hearts, too.
We all love hearts, don't we?
Hearts are wonderful. Hi, Robin.
Hey, Robin, how you doing? Over there on Facebook. Sweetheart, darling love of my life. I've left my drink in the kitchen as well. Oh, no, I haven't.
So I made some bread yesterday, and how have you been making it pretty regularly, or are you just making it once in a while now? Or
the bread? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Are you talking to me, Jack?
Yes.
Oh, about the bread. Sorry, because there was rustling going on.
Oh, no. Have you been making it fairly regularly now that you've got the recipe?
I am. I basically... This is my third loaf, and that's because that's how long it takes to get eaten. We ate the last slice yesterday. My son is loving it for school, which is really good because I'm getting some really good ingredients in him. And the great thing is, it keeps forever. It doesn't go off like other bread. Hey, Beverly, how you doing, sweetheart? Oh, I've got Debs. Hi, Debs. Hi, Mary Beth. Hi, Robin. She's doubling up on both of us. Fabulous. Lovely to see you.
It'll get crusty. It'll get a little crusty, a little dry, but it's still just as good.
Yeah, well, mine hasn't actually, and the crust is quite crispy.
It is.
And I really like the crust. And I've been tempted to look. Here's Wink.
Hello, Jack.
Hey, Wink, how are you, buddy?
All right, mate. Oh, look, where's my face? There it is.
There it is.
Good to see you. I hear you've been lost in the shed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been working on my bat box. I've got everything painted. I've got all the interior pieces have been stained, and it took the stain 4 days to dry, believe it or not. I don't know why it took so long, probably because of the temperature. And then yesterday I painted the primer on all the exterior surfaces. So today my goal is to paint the first coat of the brown. So I want to get everything painted before I start assembling. So getting there slowly but surely. Definitely working on the project.
It's a really good way.
See, because it's so cold here, my cigar box guitars, because I'm waiting for the varnish to dry, they're in front of a fan heater, which seems to have accelerated it considerably.
Yeah. Right. Of course, he hasn't got the patience to wait for it to dry. So how long does it take to go off properly?
3 weeks to completely
3 weeks to completely cure.
Yeah, but it's 10 hours till it's hard.
So there you go. When you're working with wood, sometimes you have to have a lot of patience because you want the wood to cure, or you want the coverings to dry properly and all that. And after 3 days, I was really surprised that I still had wet spots where I had stained the plywood that goes on the interior portions that creates the little nursery spots for the bats. And it was still wet. I'm like, well, okay. So then I lifted them all up and I hung them so they could get more airflow and maybe they'll dry. Plus, we had some pretty good weather yesterday, so I opened the barn up, and I just opened it up after church today, so it'll get a little breeze through there, and that'll help too. But the primer's all done, so I'm ready for the paint part of it that doesn't go over the stain. The paint just goes over the primer, so I think that should dry pretty quickly, and I'll do a coat a day or so for 3 days. That's have 3 coats of paint. Then I'll be ready to start putting it together. From there, it should go pretty quickly. So my goal is to finish this week. I'll be out of town this next weekend, going out to West Texas to visit with some friends for this weekend. It's an unofficial holiday here in the U.S. with Super Bowl weekend. I believe that's this weekend, right? Yes. Tell me I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I need to know now.
I think there'll be a flurry of comments here.
I'm not a football fan, but I am a fan of hanging out with my friends. So We'll be doing that, and so I won't be here next Sunday, but we will be here, or I will be here Wednesday, for our discussion.
Excellent.
So Deb says she was able to wear 4-inch heels for the first time in years with no pain. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yay.
She put an amazing post up on Facebook, which I've actually shared. She put, here's my update. I no longer have a vitamin B deficiency. I no longer have gout. My RA is in check, whatever RA is.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh gosh, even more exciting. I'm down almost 15 pounds. I no longer eat meat, trying to give up dairy. I have very little, and I can wear stilettos again without foot pain.
There we go.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. And it's amazingly simple, too. And just goes to show when we talk about rheumatoid arthritis, it's an autoimmune disease. And the fuel for the autoimmune disease is the animal proteins that you're pouring into your body, both in the form of the animal flesh and in the stuff we squeeze out of animals, which would be eggs and dairy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we cut that stuff out and we get healthy.
And so many people have rheumatoid arthritis. Absolutely, so many people. You know, that wasn't even on my radar. I'm just super excited about that. I should be Facebooking some posts there. Hi, Madge, darling.
Yes, I've got Madge over here too. Hi, Madge.
Hi, whoever. Hi, Cor. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Josh. It is Sunday, February the 3rd, Super Bowl, just to let you know.
That's next Sunday,
hi,
sure. So I'll be gone.
So, a lot of people saying they think, Mary Beth is saying she thinks she may have to try and make the bread. Robin has said she's looking forward to making the bread and must find gluten-free flours. Do you know what? I think I might actually, darling, the bread's ready! It's all going on here! Darling, get it out of the oven! Right, okay. Sorry about that, folks. Live bread making.
20 minutes at Sue's house. 20 minutes is all you have to let it cool.
Yes, that's right. Oh, yeah, come round and let's slice it up. But right. I think I'm going to get myself some wholemeal gluten-free flour and just go for it and not worry about if it comes out like a murder weapon. So I am actually going to try that, and then I'll stick that recipe up because I would really like to take the gluten out of that as well for added sort of pizzazz and health benefits and stuff like that. So Beverly is saying she started taking B12 and calcium with vitamin D, and she also takes your Meta 7, and she's asking, is that good, Dr. Gilmore?
Well, let's talk about, we're going to talk about, when she says B, I presume she means B12, or is she taking a B complex?
Yeah, she says vitamin B12. You leave it in the tin for 10 minutes, and then you turn it out onto the rack.
So if you have a question about B12, you want to stay tuned because I actually have a lecture prepared for our group today about B12 and being vegan. Because it is of importance. While all vitamins are important, we also need to understand that there is a potential deficiency that we need to worry about with being a whole food plant-based eater, and that is B12. And B12 is a water-soluble vitamin, meaning we don't have to worry about getting too much of it, but we do have to worry about not getting enough. The good thing about B12 is this, despite the fact that it is a critical vitamin, it is also needed in only extremely, extremely small amounts to be effective. And so we're talking about not milligrams, we're talking about micrograms, we're talking about millionths of a gram. A very, very, very small amount is effective. The problem that a lot of people run into in being whole food plant-based is you expect to get everything that you need by eating from the garden. And with the way foods are produced today, and we're going to talk about that here shortly, you can't count on your whole food plant-based diet supplying your B12. And so I'll tell you why here shortly.
Cool.
That's
Sounds good. Looking forward to that.
We've got to run a couple of commercials. We'll do a story on a lost puppy, and then we come back and we break into that story. That's Kitten in Tree Rescued, film of the fire department rescuing a cat in the tree, and that's how does the news usually work. And Then somewhere down the line they spin something else, and then you come back to the story.
I'm going to get little Jagger in from the pig pen to just snuffle around a bit as well, because
perfectly.
That'd be good.
Hunt for some truffles, even though they're not mushrooms. Yes, I learned.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Hi, Maureen, sweetheart. Mary Beth, she's looking for some healthy bread, and she eats Arnold's Health Nut Bread a day. This is the healthy bread, and it's so easy to make. This is my 3rd ever loaf of hand making it, because it's no mix, no kneading, no kneading. And, if I can make it.
No kneading needed, stirring required.
Stirring,
but only
2 minutes
slightly.
of stirring, 2 minutes stirring. And then and then tipping into a tin. It's just literally couldn't be easier. Dry ingredients in, wet ingredients in, stir for 2 minutes, leave for 20 minutes, drop it in a tin, slam it in the oven, and 40 minutes later it is looking and tasting good. So
that's exactly right.
Hop on and look at, I did the recipe, Mary Beth. It's on my channel. So have a look. Can I just ask also that if you've got a question, please put it in capitals so that I can make sure when I'm whizzing up and down the live chat feed, I don't miss you out. Because I hate to miss things.
Well, the reason we're going to talk about B12 today, to answer Madge made a comment. She said, "I like the format of a discussion about one topic at a time." We want to be sure that we talk about important things that anybody may have, something that's on their mind, but at the same time, it's good to kind of have a theme or something we can talk about in advance. I've received several requests via email and online in some places where people say, hey, even somebody asked the DW, would you please ask your husband to talk about B12? It's important.
Yeah.
So we're responding, and we can break into that whenever you guys are ready.
Yep, I'm ready. The other thing that we were talking about earlier just before we came on, it would be really great that I would absolutely love this. I know so many of you lovelies have had some amazing health benefits and changes. I know I've lost count of all the comments about how much weight people have lost, and I know that is often the thing that drives a lot of people to get more healthy rather than let's get more healthy and lose weight. And we would really love to attract some more people to this channel and help more people. So if you would, in the comments, not in the live chat, but after this is finished, if you would come back into this video and just put, like the one I read out earlier about all the health benefits, because we've got a diabetic cured. We have two people who have had surgeries cancelled because they just don't need them anymore. We've got stiletto healed, totting about, beautiful, lovely, and these are the things that motivate people. And I would really love to actually tell people on Facebook and also do a video for the YouTube channel just to attract more people that are just looking for some relief, looking for some health gains, or just looking to get out of pain, and getting more healthy isn't even on their radar. But, loads of you have been helped, and do share these videos with people. Do post, shout from the rooftops, because people, that love you and are influenced by you will just think, well, gosh, look at, she's just jumping about. This is my husband could do this, or my blah, blah, blah. We all know someone that we look at and go, oh, please, if you were just doing what I'm doing, you would feel as good as I do. And this is a journey that we haven't finished. But we would so just love to help more people kind of realize that you don't have to have all these symptoms and troubles. You don't have to just label yourself as a type 2 diabetic and just go, oh, well, because
type 2 diabetes need not exist in your life. Type 2 diabetes is absolutely curable, and if you're still taking lots and lots of pills for type 2 diabetes, it is because you have not learned the truth about what causes type 2 diabetes, and we can help you with that. We can help you reduce the number of medications you're taking. We can help you get healthier, and eventually, we believe that if you follow a strict diet, you can stop needing medication for diabetes. We would never tell you to stop your medicines without getting an okay with your doctor first, so we'll clear that up right away. But we can tell you that we have had patients go in to see their doctors after following our recommendations, and their doctor is shaking their head saying, well, I can't believe it, but you don't need your diabetes medicine anymore. And so that has happened. We have it documented on our chats, and so that's our objective, is to continue that. We've had people need fewer blood pressure medicines. We have had people be able to come off of their lipid medications. We've seen people with chronic autoimmune disorders such as rheumatoid arthritis and others see a remission of their symptoms. And so all of this seems to be related to this barrage that we are feeding ourselves of animal proteins that our bodies just aren't designed to handle well. So there you go.
That's absolutely right. And so if I've got some comments down there, I'm going to be, just not showing anyone's identity. I actually posted, a post on Facebook. Any of you follow me, you'll see I put that down. I blur it out, so I'm not going to reveal anyone's identity or any personal things. But when people read real comments from real people that have real experiences, people start to wake up because they think, well, why not me then? You see, and that's the little spark. That's a little spark of mindset that we need to help instill in people, so they think, well, actually, why not me? Let me try that. And we've had some people that have chat to their husbands, and they're going to knock out their meat intake and give it a go. And it's just like, I've got goosebumps just talking about this. So, help us to help other people, because you are the founding members. You are our founding core lovelies who have stuck with us and who make us both, I know I speak for Dr. Gilmore here, make us both really look forward to our twice weekly shows. I get so excited as the clock is ticking down. And, and I know you all love it too, because hey ho, you wouldn't be here. So let's spread that out, because there are more people that need our help, not just mine and Dr. Gilmore's, but your help, and your positivity too. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So
I put up the very first, I don't know if you can see these, Sue. I think you would actually have to look on a different, device or something to see what I put up.
I'm going to look on your channel now.
When I got back from church, I said, okay, I want to talk about B12. Let me find some good information, some reliable information. Of course, I've been dealing with vitamins and supplements for some time, because long before I became a whole food plant-based eater, I was involved with nutrition and health and understanding how that affects people's lives and trying to help people feel better and be more energetic. And a lot of my supplement line was based on helping people feel better during the day when they didn't have a medical reason not to. So I found some different articles and from reliable sources, and certainly this is by no means going to be complete, and you shouldn't take it as such, but it should be informative. And I've got seven slides. The first one is up, and it just kind of tells you what is B12. B12 is a water-soluble vitamin necessary for the synthesis of DNA. And as you know, DNA is your chromosomes and your genetic code that's built into every cell of your body, right? And so this is a necessary vitamin for that process, for the process of constructing DNA, for the process of replication of DNA, and you have to have it if you're going to be healthy. You have to have it for the normal function of nerves and cells throughout your body. You have to have it for normal red blood cells, and it's related to probably a lot more than that, but we'll keep it simple here. It's an important nutrient for the health of all cells in the body. The fortunate thing for us as whole food plant-based eaters is that we need very, very little B12 for good health. And I think I mentioned it earlier, we're not talking about milligrams when we're talking about B12. We're talking about micrograms or millionths of a gram. Very, very small amounts. The proper amount, and I think I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit on the slides, but
yeah, you're getting too excited.
I'm too excited. On average, we should be taking in somewhere between 3 to 5 micrograms of B12 every day, which is a very, very small amount. And in fact, B12 is stored in the liver, and there have been people that have gone years and years with no B12 whatsoever in their diet and have done fine because they had a significant store of B12 that the body could call on as needed. So, I mean, that's not saying, hey, you don't have to take it because you've got a lot of it stored, but I'm just saying, I just want to emphasize that it is needed in very, very small amounts. So sometimes we think that if a little bit is good, then a whole lot must be better. And that's not necessarily the case with B12. But the good thing about B12, typically speaking, is that this is a water-soluble vitamin. And what I mean by that is if you take B12 in and your body doesn't need it, then your body is going to excrete it. You're just going to get rid of it through the urine. You're not going to be involved in any kind of B12 toxicity. Should not be an issue. So let me take this first one down. I think we covered it fairly well. And we'll come on now to the second one. And if you've got questions, go ahead and ask them because... I
have a question for you.
All right, let's do it.
This is from the lovely Ada, who is the lady... Welcome, Ada. Who is the lady who's had a chat with her husband and they're going to... try and cut meat out of their diet, and her husband's backing her fully, so that's just wonderful. She says, and thanks for coming back. My friend has lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma, and now and it's going off the page with all the comments coming in, has back fractures, discovered multiple myeloma. I wonder if there's any hope for her with this vegan lifestyle.
Well, if you go to a cancer center and you have a multidisciplinary approach, you're going to always have a nutritionist. And one of the first things they're going to do in many cases is they're going to pull you off of all the animal products that you've been consuming. They're going to put you on a whole food plant-based diet, and which begs the question, well, if that's so important and so healthy, why wasn't I doing that beforehand? And the answer is, that's what we're all about.
Yeah.
We're trying to tell you.
The word isn't out there, that's why.
Is there hope? Absolutely. Absolutely there's hope. I mean, but you're talking about a person whose body has been a cancer factory, has been an autoimmune disease producing factory as a result of a diet, most likely a diet that has been contributing to these kinds of conditions, to where they're not just had one, not just two, but three autoimmune diseases that have popped up. And now we have a kind of cancer, multiple myeloma. It's not a true cancer like, say liver cancer, pancreatic cancer, breast cancer. This is a different kind of problem, but it is a cancer-like condition. Multiple myeloma is. Can it be cured? Sure. We have treatments for it. Sure. Will a whole food plant-based diet help? Most likely. And if you go to a multidisciplinary approach to treat this problem, most likely you're going to be seeing a nutritionist, and most likely they're going to put you on a whole food plant-based diet. Okay, so let's talk more about B12. B12 is found readily in animal products. If you go online and you look for sources for B12, you're going to find over and over again beef, chicken, dairy. They're going to tell you to eat all of these things because that's where B12 comes from. Do you know why animals have B12? Because we fortify the feed that we're giving them with B12. We put B12 in their diet, so they're getting it supplemented. Because in some cases, animals never get in touch with the soil. Normally, B12 could be found in the soil because the bacteria that produce B12 live in the soil, and they produce enough of it to where animals, when they're rooting around, pigs rooting around, they get the B12. Zoo animals, for example, don't have B12 problems, even though they're getting probably a whole food diet, because they're not clean. So they touch their own feces and they get B12 absorbed back up through their diet because they touch and then they eat, and then they have a recirculation of fecal bacteria that goes back through their bodies. So B12 is readily found in animal products. It's more challenging in plants. B12 is produced in nature by bacteria. The bacterial flora in the guts of animals provides ample supply. So a lot of animals contain in their guts the bacteria that produce the B12, and that bacteria is washed back up. So you look at cattle and you look at sheep and you look at some animals that have systems where they bring that food back up and they redigest it. They have the opportunity to absorb the B12 then. In people, we make B12 also, but our B12 is formed in the colon, way past the part of the gut that absorbs B12. So we would absorb B12 in the small intestine, but we produce it in the large intestine, so we don't usually get it. All right, if we had poor hygiene, then we could get it through our own excrement, which is not a pleasant thought, but it is true. So there are accounts, let me just read on here. B12 is produced in the colon, generally considered too far along in the digestive process for absorption. Although there are accounts of vegans who do not supplement B12 who have more than adequate B12 levels. So then you ask yourself, how is that possible? We think that in some cases there are vegans who actually reflux from the colon back into the ileum, the small intestine, some of the fecal material, and it allows some absorption of B12. That's speculation. That's not been documented. But then again, you have to remember, you got to wonder who these tests are being run on. When I get pharmaceutical reps that come in and they talk about lipids and things like that, and I say, now how many vegans were involved in your studies? And they'll always tell me the same thing. Oh, we didn't have any vegans in the studies. So, question mark, wonder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question mark.
So B12 is available usually in animal products. Let's bring the next slide up here because I addressed the next question that some of you are going to have.
Can I just say something? Can
Sure.
anyone who is on my channel please send me a link if you're watching Dr. Gilmore's Facebook channel, because I cannot find it, which means I cannot see the slides. And I just wanted to have a look. So if anyone's got a link, if you could put it in here, then I can hyperlink over on my iPhone. Sorry, that was a bit of boring information there, but I just can't find it. Thank you.
All right. So the next question is did our ancestors have B12 deficiencies? Because we know they ate mostly agrarian, right? We know they ate mostly roots and seeds and plants. The answer is no. And the reason is because they ate foods that were grown in healthy soil rich in B12 producing bacteria. Mm-hmm. And when they pulled the carrots and the tubers and whatever out of the ground, they rinsed them. They might have brushed the dirt off of them, but they didn't sterilize the vegetables. They ate them. Yeah. They got plenty of B12. Remember, we're talking about micrograms here. You don't need that much, okay? So they didn't wash the plants thoroughly enough to remove all the B12. So that's why they didn't have B12 deficiencies, okay? So let's click that one off. We're moving along here. So what happens when we eat foods that contain B12? Well, B12 comes into our stomach. Stomach acid breaks that vitamin down from a carrier protein into an active form. The B12 is then combined with something that's produced in our stomach that's called intrinsic factor. And if you do some B12 research, you're going to hear a lot about intrinsic factor. It's produced in the stomach. That combination of B12 and intrinsic factor is then able to be absorbed into the body. So people who've had gastric bypass procedures, they're in danger of the consequences of a B12 deficiency because sometimes they have part of the stomach removed that produces the B12, that produces intrinsic factor, and they can no longer absorb B12. So they are relegated to injections or sublingual B12 for the rest of their lives. They can't absorb it. There is a condition called pernicious anemia, which is caused by lack of intrinsic factor, which leads to poor B12 intake. Anemia caused by poor B12 intake, but if we have normal intrinsic factor, that's known as megaloblastic anemia. The cure for both of these conditions is to supplement B12 levels. So let's click that one off and move on. So B12 can be absorbed directly into the bloodstream either by sublingual or intramuscular routes. Most of these products that they use contain cyanocobalamin, which is not a form of B12 that is found in nature. I want you to remember that, okay? Those of you that are getting B12 injections, you are getting a chemically synthesized form of B12 that's not normally found in nature. It has a cyanide molecule that has to be cleaved off before it can go through the process of attaching to intrinsic factor, or I'm sorry, if it's injected, no, but basically you're getting cyanocobalamin. Your body still has to cleave off the cyanide molecule before it can be used in the body. Methylcobalamin, which is what's found in Meta-7 and is the form of B12 that I recommend, it is found in nature, and there are also some other more obscure forms of B12 that are found naturally. So those of you that are taking shots, or if you're taking most B12 products, you're getting cyanocobalamin, and that is a synthetic B12 product, and I don't recommend it if possible. So this comes to the question, I'm a vegan. Should I be worried about B12? If so, what should I do? Since the soil our food is grown in is treated with pesticides and herbicides, it's not a good idea to eat veggies and fruits without washing them, right? We want to wash all that stuff off. Don't count on the soil that the food is growing in to be rich enough to contain enough bacteria growing, producing adequate B12. You can't count on that anymore. Also, some of our vegetables actually are grown in hydroponic systems where there's no soil at all. Therefore, no soil, no bacteria, no B12. You get the idea here, right? Should be pretty simple. You just can't count on what you're getting to have enough B12. So, vegans should avoid this entire issue by taking a daily supplement that contains 3 to 5 micrograms of methylcobalamin. That's my recommendation. It's a simple solution. You don't need more than that, though. You don't need to be on these giant B12 complex super B formulas. It's not necessary. If you're taking a daily multivitamin, don't count the B in there. Get yourself some methylcobalamin and take 3 to 5 micrograms a day, and you will have plenty of B12, okay?
Excellent. That's excellent advice. I'm just looking at, I've got you now, the spelling of that to put that up. Right, I'm going to just screenshot that, and I'm going to do that in the comments later. And
if you want to, you can go back and you can listen to this again, and I've got all that up there where if you want to, copy and paste and print that stuff out and then study it yourself, and you want to poke holes in my argument, you certainly may. Perfectly okay with me. Again, this is not meant to be a complete discussion about B12 by any stretch. It's simply just enough for us to understand why there's no B12 in the veggies today, why you can't count on a whole food plant-based diet to support your B12 needs, and why it's important to supplement your B12. We know it's important. We know it's important for even our farm animals, and so many of those animals, they get taken out of the soil and they get put on concrete. They don't have access to soil anymore, so we have to supplement the animals so they get enough B12. That's a whole different discussion on how animals are treated, right? We don't need to go there. But they don't get it, so that has to be supplemented in their food. So you need B12, you need a B12 supplement, and B12 is very important. But again, only in very, very small amounts.
Right. That is brilliant. I am going to go and get myself some B12 vitamin because I have to see what I'm taking actually, but yeah.
Well, you're taking Meta-7. You're getting your 5 micrograms a day.
Am I?
Yes.
Yes! Woo!
I'm taking care of that for you, Sue.
Thank you, my darling. That is fantastic. And actually, there's a comment. I'm going to go back to one from Violet in a second, but Beverly has said, I'm taking Meta-7 and under my tongue B12 every day. Does that mean she doesn't need to take the B12 if she's taking Meta-7?
As long as she has her stomach still.
I was like, oh, what's that? You do get
remember, you still have to have intrinsic factor. So some people who've had bypass surgeries or who have a deficiency in production of there are some people that don't produce this particular protein. It's a very, very small percentage of the population do not produce intrinsic factor, and so for them they're relegated to a lifetime of injections or sublingual B12. But if you have a stomach and your stomach's working properly, and you do, and if you don't, you know about it already, right? You've had surgery. Then you can take it by mouth. Just take the methylcobalamin.
She hasn't had any of those types of surgery, so she said she doesn't need to take the added B12. So she's got lots of exclamation marks under that, because she was saying that it was very expensive to buy. So that money is back in your pocket, girl.
Keep your money. If you're taking Meta7, you are getting plenty of B12. That's it.
Absolutely.
If you're not, then go get some.
That's Stiletto Heel money for you, babes. See? Making it work. Now, Violet asked, hang on a second, let's find it, because she put it in capitals. Wonderful. What plant can help with replacing glucosamine? Did I say that right?
I don't think glucosamine comes in a plant. I think it's manufactured. That's great. I don't know of any glucosamine deficiencies. I think glucosamine is a product of the synovial lining in our joints, and it helps keep the joints slippery so they work better. So when we supplement glucosamine and chondroitin, typically you see these joint preparations. They contain glucosamine, but that's a manufactured product. I don't think that's found naturally. I'd have to do some research on that. I don't think it is found naturally. I think it's synthesized from natural products, but I don't think you can just eat a plant and get glucosamine.
Right, okay. But if it's to do with easing movement and more fluidity in movements, then a plant-based whole food diet is going to help with inflammation. It's going to help with the symptoms of that.
Well, the reason is because animal products contain a lot of omega-6s. They're very inflammatory, and this is why there was such a big movement for people to take fish oil and flaxseed oil to get those omega-3s up. We used to think that it was a lack of omega-3s, when in fact what the problem is, it's the ratio of 3s to 6s that we have to worry about. So you can either, if you're a meat eater and you want to reduce inflammation in your body, your number one thing to do is to cut the animal products out. Number two would be to increase your omega-3s. Number three would be to add other natural anti-inflammatories such as turmeric, curcumin. And then number four, you can take anti-inflammatory if you want to take pills. Ibuprofen is still the gold standard non-steroidal anti-inflammatory.
Right. There you go.
So here's the choice. So once again, it's a great example. You can either eat right or take pills.
Eat right or take pills. And those pills cost money, don't they? Extra money on top of whatever you're paying for your food anyway. So
this is true.
Change the food you buy. Don't pay the money for the pills when obviously your health improves. So it's like, who wants to take pills?
Not me.
Who wants to do all that? Who wants to be going off to the pharmacy and the chemist and refilling prescriptions? All that stuff is minutes of your life that you could be bouncing around feeling good because you've put the right foods in your body. You know, it's just like, there's no downside to this. It's just upsides everywhere you look. There are literally a plethora of benefits. You know, right down to having money for stiletto heels, if that's what you want to spend your money on. Who wants to spend their money on pills? Who wants to do that? I bet it feels like the money's being ripped out of your purse, you know, when it's very resentful money when you have to go and, you know, fill a prescription. It's just like, oh right, okay, so I don't have that money any longer, you know. So, you know, just think of it. It's not just, you know, I can't have that steak, I better eat this, you know. It's like 100 benefits. Literally, I bet if we all sat and brainstormed and wrote down every single micro benefit that we've had from this, we would just fill pages and pages and pages with seemingly unrelated benefits that actually are benefits.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just like, if your body is working to its maximum potential and you're feeling the energy that you should be feeling, you know, that opens 100 doors, thousands of doors of things you can do that you couldn't before. Going out dancing in your stiletto shoes, feeling $1 million with your legs 11 and just like loving it, you know, feeling all feminine and tall and wonderful. Those feelings, you can't bottle those feelings. It's just that little bounce in your step, you know.
Well,
stiletto heels is not my bag, but do you know what? If that makes you feel good and you can't wear them because of, oh, this bad health, that bad health, this bad health, and those 500 burgers you've had, and this plant-based stuff, and that fast food, you know? It's moments of seeming pleasure and then terrible guilt afterwards with all these rubbish kind of, you know, empty caloried foods that Dr. Gilmore talks about, you know, to the joy of slipping on a new pair of stiletto heels and feeling $1 million. You know, what is your version of stiletto heels? What is the thing that you want to do? I know, I think it's Ada, or no, it might be somebody that messaged me actually, who can't get down on the floor to play with her grandchildren. And she just wants that with her whole heart, to get down on the floor playing trains and Barbies or whatever it is kids play on the floor. It's pretty much everything, isn't it, when they're little? You know, maybe that's her stiletto heel. You know, what is yours? And think about how much you want that. And I tell you what, you won't be putting that burger or that chip or that, you know, load of nonsense or that soda pop in your mouth, because it's just like, is it really worth not being able to play with your kids on the floor? Is it really worth being in pain? Is it really worth losing all that money to pills and medication? What is it worth to you? You know, you have to look at it like that rather than something you're stopping doing, something you're giving up, something you can't have that you wish you could. The biggest thing that you all wish you had was absolute A1 tip-top health. That's the thing. That's the thing. Only we don't know it because it's kind of covered with all our daily habits and processes, and we think we like spaghetti carbonara and that's our favourite dish. But, you know, it isn't doing us any favours. And as soon as we realise that and we think, actually, no, I want that pair of Dorothy heel-clicking stiletto heels and I'm going out dancing tonight. Put that burger away. I'm not interested. I want the sparkly red shoes. It's as simple as that. Find out what your thing is that's going to make your soul dance and sing and give, you know, you doing that happy dance, because that's what this is about. This is what we're giving by giving you this advice and all being together doing it. This is what we're giving you, you know, and we're helping you do that and make the transition and make it easier, you know, because it becomes easier.
Somebody asked me how I went cold turkey, if we went cold turkey when I went vegan. I actually said, I replied that I went cold cucumber, but I mean...
No, I didn't go cold turkey. Yeah, I just didn't, because I was feeling so good. You know, just like the gut work, you know, here we go, Sue and her gut again. But putting those good things in your gut helps your gut work better. And then, I'm going to say it again, 95%, that's like nearly all of your serotonin is made in your gut. And that drip feeds your brain with dopamine, which is the happy thing. It's why people go and have a few beers on a Friday, because the alcohol does that. Drugs do that. Getting a like on your Facebook post does that. You know, getting a letter from a friend, you know, getting a smile from your granddaughter or your grandson or your kids or your brother or your sister or anyone that you love with your whole heart. That makes dopamine drip into your head. But guess what? Eat your veggies, eat your whole food, and you'll be flooded with it all by yourself. Your body will be loving you back. And when that is happening, you're not thinking about you wish you could have a pizza. You're just flying high on a whole load of dopamine. It's like a rush that your own body gives you, that so many people in this world look to with external sources. But we've got our own way to make that. And it's called put the right food in your body and learn to fly. So no cold turkey for me. Because I felt so good. You know, when you feel good, you know, you could drop your favourite, I don't know, plate on the floor and smash it, and it wouldn't matter. It's when you're feeling all miserable when you drop it on the floor. That's the last straw that breaks the camel's back. You know, this is a head amazing rush, this is. It's not all the details and the worry and the, oh yeah, but you know, I really do like my cheese still, and you know, I'm not sure I can do without my cheese. How about having a constant flow of dopamine rush so that everything is just rose-coloured and you just feel amazing? That is what I got when I went vegan. That's what I got when I went vegan. You know,
but you didn't gradually ease into it, right? Didn't you just do it all of a sudden, or did you gradually get into it?
I was eating a healthier diet, and I was using my protein shakes and food supplements that I have, which are all vegan and plant-based. And I do love vegetables anyway, but I was a great kind of pasta dumpy eater and a massive sweet and goodies, or what, I don't even call them goodies anymore, but massive chocolate fiend. And I would always go for, you know, I was a meat eater, you know, but I ate healthy meat. I'd like listen to me saying that. We bought all our meat from a butcher that we know in Norfolk, so it's not mass produced from the supermarket. Goodness knows what life it's had. So it did taste like a different product. So I was eating more healthy meat, if you like. But I kind of, I went vegan in January this time last year for Veganuary, because I'm a big FOMO queen, fear of missing out queen. And I had just heard so much, because of all the products I was using. I had met a lot of vegans, because they're vegan, cruelty-free products. So that does attract that kind of audience. And they were just saying, oh my goodness, you know, I've got so much more energy and I feel this and I feel that. And I just thought, I've got to suck it and see for myself. And that's what spurred me on to do it. So I just cut out the meat. I had already cut out most dairy. I very rarely had cheese. And I was on nut milks, you know, and I just didn't like dairy milk anymore. And I just knew that I just know that when you eat cheese, your body makes mucus and it lines your gut with this gloopy, it's like putting cling film, or I don't know what you call it, that kind of wrap that sticks to bowls that you wrap things in. I don't know what you call it over in the States, but it's like, you know, putting a lining of impenetrable gloop in your digestive system, in your gut. And so you can't get at the nutrients, the good stuff you're putting in. It's why there is an old wives' tale in the UK of, if you're going out on the lash, which is going out with the pure intent on getting drunk, and we have a big culture of going out and getting absolutely bluted and off your face. You know, we're a big drinking culture in the UK. You know, the advice was, because nobody wanted to be the lightweight wuss that like 3 pints and they were like, you know, head in the toilet. They wanted to be with all the other men drinking 10 pints. Whee! So the mother's wife's tale was to drink a pint of dairy milk before you go out, because this would, and I quote, line your stomach and of course therefore your gut, so that not as much of the alcohol would be absorbed, so that you could drink more without being drunk and making a fool of yourself in front of your mates and getting laughed at because you couldn't handle it and all that kind of nonsense. And it works, okay? And it works because it blocks your gut from absorbing all the live nutrients. So you could be eating like the healthiest food on the planet, slurrying it through with a load of cheese, and you wouldn't be getting the benefit of it. It slugs and slows your system down. It also it puts you in that kind of food coma, like, oh gosh, you know, like you've had a massive cheese hit and you can't even speak anymore. So that was the reason why I decided about 4 years ago to cut dairy out. So yes, I'd cut dairy out. Occasionally I had a bit of cheese sprinkled on things, you know, if there's a bit in a restaurant, I wouldn't go, mad about it. But the whole meat, cutting out everything, and eggs, that happened in January, and I got that energy rush. I got what they were saying, and it was so good. I pretty much never went back yet. I've had a few falling offs of the wagon, and I did have to try every meat product in Texas when I was staying with you, Jack. But you know, no more.
Right.
It's right. So that's kind of my story, and that's That's why I stopped dairy 4 years ago and never looked back, because I didn't want that going on in my body.
Here's an interesting dairy statistic for you.
Oh, go on. Let's have it.
I want to see if anybody knows the answer to this question. If you feed your children cow's milk, how much more likely are they to develop type 1 diabetes?
Oh, that's a good one.
There you go. There's your question. You guys throw out your answers. That's your question. And while you're thinking about that, and when I say milk, it's cow's milk, right? I'm not talking about goat's milk. I don't have any goat's milk information. I don't have any sheep milk or other animal milk information. I do know that there is an increased risk of type 1 diabetes in children if they are given milk products. However, I'm going to use this opportunity to say that a couple of things. One, the DW has taken over the social media end of John Gilmore, MD, and what we do online. So I appreciate all those of you who are supporting and helping her. And if you're asking questions and she answers, then please support her. She's making lots of friends. And we are developing a brand new public page, and we're also working on the Instagram presence. So both of those things are going on.
That is brilliant.
And so say a hi to the DW.
Hi, DW. I am not getting notifications, even though I did find the page. So I don't know what's going wrong there. So
well, you have to find the public page, and if you go onto my YouTube vignettes channel, I did post the link. You can go directly to the page and then like the page.
Yeah.
And it should continue to show up in your feed. The other thing I want to remind everybody.
I just managed to do it. For some reason, I wasn't following you, although I thought I'd liked it. So there you go. Technical Facebook bozo at work here.
Oh, that's okay. We're all learning. We are. We weren't happy with the direction that it was going before. We had some well-intended people who were running that, but they were also taking care of some other things. So we divided and conquered. And the DW said, "I want to do the social media," so she's got it. It's her job, and that's it. Because, if she says that she wants to do it, then she gets to do it. That's it. That's all there is to that.
Oh, that's lovely. I've got some fabulous comments here I just want to mention. Ada was just been talking, I think it's because I was talking about falling off the wagon and stuff like that, and she's put, Lindsay, you never fall off. You walk beside it because life is full of changes. Then you jump back on full time. You still have all the benefits of it. That's absolutely wonderful. Poor Becca has shingles at the moment, bless her.
Oh, that's sad.
So lots of love to you, sweetheart, for that. Healing vibes coming your way. And I know you've already got lots of love from all the lovelies with that. Deborah is saying, Deborah Barlow, I have to do surnames now. We've got so many Deborahs and Debbies and Debs and everything on here. She is saying, with her mum having end-stage COPD, we didn't have much dairy in the house. I'm sorry for that, sweetheart, but that's great. That's a great, legacy of not actually having a lot of dairy. And I've got someone with an answer to your question.
I've had several. I had one person say 75%. I had one person say 90%. Those are incorrect. In fact,
someone
they're not even
said
close.
Half here. It doubles their risk of getting it.
Okay, so that's 100% more, or doubles the risk. That's an interesting answer. The other thing I would remind everybody is, what do we eat? We eat 80% fruits and vegetables. We recommend 10% seeds and nuts, and then 10% mushrooms. That's sort of the formula. Let's see what else here. Just because you have children who drank milk, it's not 100% that they're going to get type 1 diabetes, or virtually we would all have gotten it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because
I used to
we
drink
were all
milk.
virtually all raised with cow's milk at some point or another. You guys, if you're done guessing, I will give you the answer. Did you have any answers, Sue?
I had that on some of the risk. Lindsay says the risk doubles. Somebody has said, Becky, hi Becky, sweetheart, Becky Adams, it is a high possibility of developing diabetes with milk straight from the cow.
It doesn't matter if it's straight from the cow or not.
Okay.
That's irrelevant.
Geraldine, hi Geraldine, sweetheart, she's saying it's 10% higher.
Oh, heavens no, it's much more than that.
Right, okay. Hit us with the answer.
We've already had 50%, 75%, 90%, and 100%, and all of those are very low.
I'm going to go for 500% more likely.
So that's 5 times more likely, 500%, 5 times. It's more than that.
Ugh. Oh, Robin, bless her. Robin won your challenge, didn't she, and got the Meta 7. She's finding loads of articles and she's desperately trying to find the answer. Let's give her some almost given type 2. Beverly, it's higher than 85, so it's higher than 500%, guys. So let's put the slate clean and let's have some more guesses while we're
not talking about type 2 diabetes. We're talking about type 1. We're talking about the type of diabetes that destroys the pancreas' ability to produce insulin, and you have to have insulin injections the rest of your life, or insulin replacement if they get a pancreas transplant or something later on.
Right, there you go. I'm going to say bye to Ada. She's got to go. Slam dunk to you, girl. Share this video with your friend, okay? And, let's help her. Let's help her. Have a great time, sweetheart, and thanks for joining. Beverly is in there 1,000% more likely.
Oh, so we're getting closer.
10 times.
10 times would be 1,000.
Yeah.
2,000 would be 20 times.
I'm going to say 12.5% more likely. There's my guess.
Oh no, you're 12.5% more likely is less than 100%. That's less than.
No, I mean and I've got the percent right. Like you said, 100% is 1 times more likely. 10 times more likely is still low, so I'm saying 12.5%.
That's 1,000. You're saying 12,500%.
Yeah.
The correct answer is you're 40 times more likely, 4,000% more likely to develop type 1 diabetes if you are fed cow's milk as a child. You're more likely to develop childhood or type 1 diabetes if you are given dairy, cow's milk. 40% no. 4,000% yes. 40 times. You're 40 times more likely to develop type 1 diabetes if you are fed cow's milk.
Oh,
now, that's a lifetime sentence. That's a lifetime sentence of having to be on insulin if you are fed cow's milk as a child. So if you're a parent or if you're a grandparent and your children or grandchildren and you're giving them cow's milk, you are putting them in a risk strata that makes them 40 times more likely to develop type 1 diabetes compared to the general population. Still think it's worth it? Still think milk does the body's good? Still think milk is important?
Oh, that's just horrendous.
If you drink cow's milk or you eat dairy, you are far more likely to develop osteoporosis later in life. Countries where they do not drink cow's milk or eat dairy, they do not have a problem with osteoporosis. Osteoporosis only develops in those countries when we introduce dairy.
Western diet and dairy. Because, I lived in Indonesia for 6 months and there's no dairy there. None at all.
Do they have osteoporosis?
That I don't know, because I wouldn't have even been on my radar to think about it. But
sure.
They don't use milk. They don't have cheese. And in fact, interesting thing, I decided whilst I was there for the community that I was living in, that I lived with the most amazing chefs and ate food that was all grown, within spitting distance. It was just absolutely glorious. All made from scratch, not a packet in sight, everything right from the beginning. And we decided we would do them like a typical English barbecue because we couldn't really think of anything. So we made all these ingredients. We went to the market with everything fresh, everything was fresh. And it was amazing. But we gave them a pasta salad, that had fresh sweet corn that had been barbecued over, coconut shells out on the balcony area, in the street, basically, in the square. And we gave them potato salad, and we gave them, we had specially bought some cheese, and we grated it all into the pasta salad and everything like that. Well, they loved it, but basically I gave about 100 people constipation for 3 days. Literally, from the complete change in diet, the heavy potatoes and the gluten and the pasta, which they have rice, full stop. If you ever see a potato served, you will get the equivalent of 2 kitchen fries. Like that's them serving potato, just like probably more than we would put in our mouth in a oneer. So it really affected them all, and they all came to me telling me, like I had 100 identical conversations with the people around. That the cheese really affected them, and I had to go to a luxury international store to find the smallest block of cheese. They just don't eat it. It's not in their diet. It's not in the Thai diet. I was in Thailand and Malaysia as well, in my kind of year's travel, and it's just not there. They just don't have it. It's not something
diabetes is destroying the health of Americans, Britons, Canadians, people in Western countries, and it is not caused by eating the carbohydrates that you're being told that causes it. It is caused by animal products. Animal products causes the condition. It is manifest when you then eat the carbohydrate, then it causes the glucose levels to go up. So what we do is we teach people to eat more and more animal products and then reduce the carbohydrates, and it makes the diabetes look good. Instead, what we should be doing is getting them off the animal products, letting the body heal, and then they'll be able to handle the carbohydrates. Now, I was pre-diabetic a year ago. My hemoglobin A1C, which is a marker of this, was 5.9, 5.8, 5.9, I don't remember, but I have the number somewhere. Nonetheless, I was a pre-diabetic because I was eating a lot of animal products, and when you eat the animal fats, those fats sort of think of it as a glue that affects the body in lots of ways. One of the ways is it prevents the receptors in the cells of the skeletal muscle and other cells in the body from reacting to insulin that your pancreas is producing. So as a result, they become dysfunctional. And then when you eat some carbohydrates, your glucose levels start going up because your body's cells can't take that up and handle it properly. So it's all backward. So all I had to do was stop eating the animal products, and my hemoglobin A1C went from 5.9 to 5.1. I went from pre-diabetes to normal glucose tolerance as I cut those animal products out. And that's not the unusual, that's the normal. That's what will happen with type 2 diabetics. Type 2 diabetics can cure their diabetes by going to a whole food plant-based diet. This is not conjecture. This isn't pseudoscience. This isn't pop culture. This is hard scientific evidence that's been out there for a long time, and we know it. And the pharmaceutical reps know it. The pharmacy companies know it. Everybody knows it, but there's no money in it. And it's also difficult to convince somebody to keep driving past those fast food restaurants to go on home and make yourself some string beans and have some cucumbers and some zucchini and slice up a little potato in there and make some lentils or have some beans and slice up an onion and stew that all together and eat that. Throw in some soy if you want, whatever. That takes time, but it's a lot easier to eat unhealthy. Not only that, we're seeing money being poured into these animal-based foods coming from the United States Department of Agriculture in our country. It's being subsidized. There's no way that you see what we have for sale on our quote-unquote dollar menus at restaurants if it wasn't for the fact that those food items were being subsidized by our government.
That's right. It's all being fed. And I know a lot of people, if they're used to just buying ready meals, microwave meals, swinging by the fast food restaurants, it is bling out there. It's like food bling all over the place for us all. It's very easy to do. And maybe you're tired after work or your day or whatever you've done, and the thought of chopping vegetables and cooking from scratch or stuff seems too much. Just ask yourself, how much time is soaked up, wasted, and gone forever by being sick? How many things have you missed because you're in too much pain? You know, how many days have you had to spend in bed? You know, if you look back at, you know, that, you know, 5 minutes chopping some vegetables, get a whizzer like I've got and blast them through it with a tool.
Sure.
You know, the amount of time you spend being sick is time you're never going to get back, and it's not your best. They're not your best moments, are they?
And that's the sad part of it, too.
You don't feel good.
Yeah, is you're going to live. You're going to live because when you start getting sick, you're going to go to the doctor. The doctor's going to give you pills. You're going to pay money. You're going to take the pills. The pills have side effects. You're not going to feel as good. You're going to be sick, and you're going to keep eating the wrong stuff, but your doctor's not going to take the time to tell you to eat the right stuff so that you don't need the pills anymore because they don't think you're going to do it, number one, and chances are you're not going to anyway. But, you know, so doctors get tired of beating their heads against the wall, so, you know, they're not about healing you. They're about pushing pills on you to keep you going, so you keep coming in quarterly or twice a year, getting that blood work done, making sure that you're on the right dose of those pills. Man, I'll put somebody on 5 or 6 pills to keep them going. I'll keep you going. I'll keep you alive. You're not going to feel good. You'll be less likely to have a stroke, but you're not going to feel healthy. You're still going to live a long life, maybe, if you don't get cancer, and you probably will. But the fact of the matter is all of this is avoidable by simple dietary changes, and the message needs to get out there. We need to tell our friends. We need to tell everybody to tune in to what's going on in the whole food plant-based world, because there's lots. And I watched another video yesterday just to stay motivated. I watched a new video that had just come out, and it's the same voices. Dr. Ornish, Dr. Esselstyn, it's Dr. Campbell. It's the same ones over and over again. They're using the same research. They're just remixing this stuff over and over again because it needs to get out there, and there's a core group of people that will continue to watch this stuff, so it's out there. So tell your friends to watch the videos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Read the books.
Yeah.
How to Prevent and Cure Heart Disease. Read Dr. Esselstyn's book. Yeah. Read Dr. Campbell's book, The China Study. Read Dr. Davis' book, Proteinaholic. Get involved. Share the information with your friends. Get them, if they need help and support along the way. That's what we're doing. We're not creating anything new here. All we're doing is revealing the information to you. We don't need to do primary research anymore because we have all the research.
Yeah.
You want to talk to somebody who's worried about the planet? 16,000 gallons is what's required, the amount of water to produce a pound of beef. 16,000 gallons. And in California, they're having to turn the water off when they brush their teeth to save a gallon of water. But they'll go out and they'll get a quarter-pound burger for lunch that costs 4,000 gallons. Come on, people. We need to open our eyes. We're deforesting the Amazon so that we have grazing land for more cows.
Yeah.
You know, this is crazy. 51% of the crops that we're raising aren't going for human consumption. They're going to cattle feed and pig feed and chicken feed. So we're spending all of these resources to go into these very inefficient machines called animals that are taking and converting a very small part of it into a high protein, very high calorie content food that you have to eat 3 times as much to feel satiated. It makes you obese. It plugs up your arteries, and it makes you more likely to have cancer, and it causes diabetes. Come on, why are we doing this to ourselves? We don't need to. We don't have to behave this way.
No.
Eat purposefully.
Yeah.
Stop eating the way you've been eating. Start making the changes. If you can't do it all of a sudden, then go meatless Monday, then meatless Monday, Wednesday, then cut out all pork. You know, work your way into it.
Yeah.
But get there, because the sooner you get there, the healthier you will be.
Absolutely. I've got very behind with the comments here, but when you were talking about milk and the 40 times more likely, the lovely Becky has put, Dr. Gilmore, my husband's niece has 2 boys and they go through a gallon of milk in one day.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Get them to watch this video. Get them to watch this video, sweetheart.
I bet they're overweight.
Are they overweight, Becky?
If they're not, they're really, really active, but I'll bet they're overweight, and I'll bet they're being told to drink the milk because they need the protein and the calcium. I'll bet that's what they're being told, and I'll bet that's what... See, it's with good intentions. that this is happening. Parents are believing this idea that we need to give the children the milk because they need it to grow. You know who needs cow's milk? Baby cows. That's it.
Yeah,
Only baby cows need cow's milk. That's it.
Exactly.
Nobody else needs cow's milk.
And it's not their fault because we've been given misinformation and a long time ago, probably when I was a baby, we didn't have the research to know that this wasn't true. But we do now. But there's no incentive to get it out there because the people that make money from burgers and the dairy industry and farming and blah, 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 government and all this pharmacy, there's nothing in it for them. For you growing some vegetables in your garden and eating them, there's nothing in it for them. So, don't feel guilty. Make the change, spread the word,
Right.
So
if you demand healthy foods and more people are demanding healthy foods are going to start appearing. They're going to start appearing on menus. Just the other day I was at the Subway and for the first time ever, little Subway restaurant had veggie patties. I was amazed.
Amazing.
And I went back and I looked up the ingredients on these veggie patties, and these veggie patties are supposedly made completely from vegetables. And then I went down and I scrolled through and I read the ingredients because I was so excited. And I'm actually going to make a video about this probably. And I got into the ingredients, and what did I get? Egg whites.
No!
How is that all vegetable if it's got egg whites? I don't get it.
It's just gosh, have they not...
At least they're trying. They're trying. At least they're trying. And I'm glad to see they're making an effort to get away from everything else and saying, look, they got more and more people that are demanding healthy foods. And so they're responding. These big companies... There are restaurants out there now. There are fast food restaurants, and I think one of them here is called Smash Burger. I could be wrong, but I think they have a vegan patty alternative if you want to have a vegan patty on your sandwich.
That's brilliant.
Yay! So we are making progress.
We are. Starbucks are bringing out a whole massive new vegan range in February because they've got one wrap and they've got one porridge oats with coconut milk. So there's only two things, and I'm bored with those. I just wanted to mention, Beverly said to tell you, my daughter has had DM. Don't know what that is.
That's diabetes mellitus.
Okay.
That's not helpful. There's two kinds of diabetes in general. There's type 1 and type 2. Okay.
So she's had DM since she was 4. She's now 33. She was in hospital this week with DKA.
She's type 1.
Acetoacidosis. Sue, please tell the doc for me.
Yeah, so her problem is she's either she's not getting enough insulin, she's either not taking her insulin, or she's not following a diet that works for her. It doesn't matter what she eats, she's going to require some amount of insulin until we get a cure for type 1 diabetes. She can eat right, she can eat a whole food plant-based diet, she's going to have to adjust her insulin for that. But in time, she will develop symptoms of type 2 diabetes because she's eating probably a lot of animal products, because that's what we teach our type 1 diabetics to do. And so as a result, down the road, she will be put on pills that we use for type 2 diabetes because of that great convergence I've talked about, right?
Yeah.
We talked about how type 1 diabetics become closer to type 2 and type 2s become closer to type 1 till eventually they're all type 1.5s. That's a different topic.
Right.
But it unfortunately we can't dietarily fix. Once that damage occurs, we can't fix that. Once you become a type 1 diabetic, your type 1 diabetes, and I feel sorry for this person because they got it as a child. The parents were probably told they picked up a virus, because that's usually what the medical establishment says.
That she had
your child got a virus and you ended up with type 1 diabetes. That's how it happens. What they don't tell you is that we know that almost all of these cases are related to dairy consumption. We know this.
There you go. I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope that's very helpful for you. Becky had someone was asking what to eat. What are better sources of calcium? Lindsay was. Green vegetables, leafy green vegetables, your spinach, your brassicas.
Calcium is there. Where do you think the cow with the 1,000-pound skeleton? They get it from the grass.
Yeah, leafy green stuff. So
Cows
that's a really good
full
source.
Of all this calcium and stuff because they snuck up on another cow in the middle of the night and ate it. They get it from the plants they eat, just like you will.
Yeah.
People, look, green vegetables are loaded with calcium. They're loaded with iron. They're loaded with all kinds of phytochemicals. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface of the benefit of a whole food plant-based diet.
Yeah.
The only area you have to be careful about is what we just talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Is the B12. That's it.
Hi, Kira, sweetheart. Hi, Veronique. Bonsoir. Just like she's from France. Someone someone was saying that I make vegan cooking look so easy. I'm going to be doing a lot more cooking recipes because I think if you go, do you know what? That didn't take 5 minutes and that's easy and it looks tasty. Let's have a go at that. Because I know a lot of you have tried my recipes and you really like them. And some of them I just kind of make up and think, oh, right, okay, I must do a video on that. My fridge freezer isn't arriving. That's my frustrated face. Until the 9th of February.
Well, that's not that long.
That's my pain and anguish face. So as soon as I've got a fridge, I'm going to be making loads of really healthy recipes that I can get my son and my husband to eat. So I'm going to be putting a lot more up there and I'm going to be doing regular recipes because this doesn't need to be as difficult as you think in your head. And in fact, if it wasn't for you lovelies, I wouldn't have started doing recipes. And I used to go, oh, I don't really know what to cook. And I made it my own obstacle to eating a more varied vegan diet because I just, we all learn to cook when we're little and we've got these like, spaghetti bolognese, I can bash that out. I'm standing on my head asleep. I don't even have to, I'll put a bit of this into it this time. We all know how to do that because we've been cooking it for years and all of our kind of favourite recipes. But now I have new favourite recipes that even my family like and there's, they're vegan. And so I will be doing more of those for you, I promise, because I know that you're finding them really useful. And when you're transitioning, it's just like, normally I would do this, but I can't. And then it's like that, don't know what to do now. So we want to make it as easy for you as possible. But there is always, as Dr. Gilmore says, chop up some vegetables and eat them. But I know when it's cold, you want something a bit more. You want to replace that comforty thing. And I think the relationship we have with food is very often, it's an emotional relationship. We see it as a comfort. We see it as a treat. We see it as that. And when you fully on whole food, plant-based eating and you get the health benefits and you're kind of well on the road to being your optimum, you start thinking as food as not an emotional thing. It's purely fuel so that your body works right. Okay? And we've learnt to, and it's in front of us with all the advertising, we've learnt to attach emotions, to food. So when our kid's been really good, we give it an ice cream or we give it a load of sweets. Oh, you've been so good today. I got this chocolate bar for you, and it's like, you can have a treat of utter rubbish when you've eaten your vegetables, and then that associates with our children. The treat is the cream cake. That's in fact why Wink loves cream cake so much, because they hardly ever had like cream cakes and Danish pastries with cream in them when they were little. It's something we just didn't do, back in the 60s. And he has so many beautiful, wonderful, emotional, happy memories attached to these rare occasions when his mum went out and bought the three of them cream cakes. And he remembers it with jumping up and down. He can't walk past the cream cakes without having a little skippity-doo in his step because it's so ingrained in his emotional being that is a beautiful thing. And really, what's he eating? Complex carbohydrates, sugar, gluten, and a load of dairy product and processed sugars. It's not a treat. It's a hell mouthful, It's a have all these diseases. If you were just to eat cream cakes, you probably wouldn't be here now. So it's try to think about food as fuel for your body. That's what our ancestors did. They weren't looking to get an emotional cuddle from eating, a bowl of something. They were using it so their bodies worked, so that they had energy. You know, they went and got food because, you know, they needed to eat it. They got their emotional things from being, you know, a family unit. And so it is hard because we look for the emotional, you know, I put a picture on Facebook. My sister sent me a vegan packet cheese mate, which was just, it was gorgeous. And I cooked some green pea fusilli, one ingredient, green peas. I put some broccoli, I put some fine green beans, and I put some Cavello Nero in it. All green, everything green. I was having a real absolute craving for green vegetables. And I poured this vegan cheese sauce over it, and I made a comforty dish, which was 100% all good for me. It was cashew nut milk. I think it's coconut protein that the cheese sauce was made from. And all green, 5 green vegetables in a bowl. So I get the emotional kind of comforty cuddle thing that you get from food. And I'm going to make sure that I put recipes that give you that while you're transitioning from food being an emotional cuddle for you to being, nah, food is me putting rocket fuel in my body. No, I don't want that cake. Give me that salad bar. Right, I'm having that. Right, woof, on to the next exciting episode of my life. And food is not the thing that you center your whole life around. And it's a mindset change. And this is why people talk about getting healthy as being like 80% mindset. It's your mind that stops you eating the cream cake. You know,
I'll tell you what I think of when I think of milk and dairy. I just wonder how much pus is in the milk.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that.
You know, there is an acceptable level of pus by every state. It's usually somewhere around 500 million pus cells per glass.
Oh my goodness!
So you might want to think about that. I don't know, just something that disgusts me when I think about people drinking milk.
Well, so, I don't like the way they rip the babies from the mother on day one and then put them in a crate and then mechanically feed them milk whilst they use the cow for 2 or 3 years, and then the cow is dead. The cow's supposed to live for about 15 years, but they just chuck them out and haul them out and get rid of them because they're not producing enough milk. And that's what gets me, you know, about the whole, I don't even think about the pus. It's that.
I think that's a great question you could ask your grocer, or if you go into your local little fast food restaurant and they give you the little pint of milk for your child, say, by the way, how much pus is in this? Just curious. I know that there's an acceptable amount of pus. Can you tell me how much pus is in the milk? I just want to know. Just curious.
Merci beaucoup. Je suis très bon. I'm just replying to the French that's on here. Becky, can you do it? Right, somebody's talking about money. Beverly is quite rightly saying you can do plant-based cheaply. Bags of beans are cheap, canned mushrooms. There's loads of get the cheap veggies. You don't have to go for the mange tout that's been imported from some place and costs a fortune.
That's such a ridiculous statement that people say they can't afford to eat whole food plant-based because it costs more. That's absolutely nonsense. It's been proven untrue over and over again. You can go buy a 50-pound sack of beans for how much money, and it'll last you for how long? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Rice, beans. I mean, yes, fresh.
Go to markets. Go to markets an hour before they're going to close, and they will give you a crate of Brussels sprouts. I know a lot of you don't like Brussels sprouts, but it's my favourite, so I'm doing it with sprouts, and I've done this with sprouts. They're like, $1 sprouts pound. And they're like, you know, there's like £30 worth in money of sprouts in that box. But he doesn't want to pack it back in his van. He wants to get rid of that produce because tomorrow he's at another market and he's going to have shiny, lovely, spangling, fresh-looking vegetables on there. So you can get a shed load of vegetables. If you go to your market, your vegetable market, when they're closing, you know, you get like bowls and bowls of cherries. You know, they're not in season now, but in the summer, Wink was like, don't get any more, darling, don't get any more, we can't carry it, we haven't got any, don't get any more, when are you going to eat all this? And it's just like, freeze it, make a soup with it, whiz it up into smooth, just use it, and if you can't eat it all, put it on your compost heap, It's very, very cheap if you pick your time when you go to your markets. They can't give it all away. How about you take this with that, darling? Take these tomatoes here. You can have those 10 for they'll be like £1 each. I'll give you 10 for £1. And you think, I can't really eat 10 mangoes, but do you know what? Let's have them. Even if I give them to the pigs, let's have them. So it's really, really good. Choose when you do your shopping wisely, and you'll come back with more veg than you know what to do with.
All right. I think that's going to be enough for today. I still have to go in and whiz up some cauliflower, and then I have to get out and do some painting on my bat nursery project. So I think an hour and a half is good for today. And I appreciate everybody, joining in with us and asking questions and listening to our discussion. And remember, you don't have to be sick. You can be healthy.
No, you don't have to be. I'm going to go too, because I haven't made my supper yet. My boys have eaten, but I haven't. So
you have some fresh bread waiting for you, don't you?
I do have some fresh bread waiting for me. So that is very good. So I have already chopped up a plethora of green vegetables, which I cannot wait to get down my gullet. So, lots of love to you all. Thank you so much for coming on. Please, just to remind you right at the end, if you could, all of you who've got some health benefits, whether it be weight loss, more energy, lack of pain, surgeries cancelled, type 2 diabetes cured, and all the wonderful things that we've talked about, please, 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 can you go on when this video is uploaded and put a comment in, not in this live chat, but an actual comment in, and please give it a thumbs up, because I would like to attract more people, more lovely people like you who want to get some benefits just like you do. All right, lots of love, and I will see you all on Wednesday.
Wednesday, 2:00 Texas time.
8 p.m. UK time, and I'm sure you're going to see Wink and I live fairly soon. So, lots of love to you. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming on. Please, please put your testimonials and your health benefits over these weeks that you've been with us. I would absolutely be so appreciative. That's the way we're going to spread the word, girls. That is the way we're going to spread the word. All right. Lots of love. Lindsay's off to make soup. Good on you, girl. Bye.
Bye.